Welcome back to Real Talk with Nathan Najib. Today I'm going to have a conversation around my process for predicting when to buy and sell in the real estate market and how it's helped many of our clients do well in the business of real estate, perhaps when they're looking to sell and when they're looking to buy. And we've been doing this prediction since the pandemic, really. The people that listen to us, the clients of ours that listen to us, they're laughing now. We've done predictions in the past where some critics were opposed to it, and then when they come through, they're like, yeah, you're right. So the prediction that we've done, and I'm saying this with all humility, we've been pretty spot on. Since we started doing the real talk when the pandemic came in. And obviously I've been studying the market, I've been studying real estate for 17 years, and we founded Najib 8 years ago. So our advice is real. It will help you make an educated decision. There's no agenda behind it. If you take it, good for you. If you don't take it, it's totally fine with us as well. When you go and get advice from some firms, obviously there's a hidden agenda behind it. If you're talking to developers, perhaps they may want to get their development sold. If you're talking to an investment firm, perhaps they want to get the investments that work through developers, get them sold. If you're working with talking to another real estate firm, perhaps they want to get their agents to get the houses sold. And the goal for the businesses, for most businesses, is how to make a profit. And they're not interested in you. What they're interested in is how they can make the profit. I've listened to some news that's like ridiculous, and I'm like, where do you guys get this from, right? Today, I want to have a conversation around the seasons of real estate, or season in the economy. Definitely season in real estate. We call it spring. What do you call spring? Is this time when everything is growing. We call it also expansion. We kind of like getting capital gains in our property. So that's the expansion part of thing. And then you've got the peak. The peak is summer. We call it summer or the peak. And usually peak is when you go in there and pick your fruit up. The fruit is nice and tastes good, right? So that was the peak, is the hottest day when it's like, when we've talked about this in the past, late 2021, early 2022, when we see that was the peak or the bubble, if you will. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then you've got contraction, which is also in seasons we call it fall, right? The leaves are falling, the property prices are coming back, which it is now. We're probably towards around midst of it now. I've spoken about that in the past, and obviously there's some critics in the past as well who say like, now we are already in the bottom. And now we did a video last year. I was thinking about now is the time. I was telling people now is the time to sell. And then there was people that went up in arms about it. They would do like, no. The reason you're saying that is to get more listings. Well, our goal is to tell you the truth. And obviously they didn't think, but now they know that the market, we were actually right? We're actually right. And then this here's the winter, the coldest day, when the market is real bad. The market has hit the bottom. We're not there yet. We've said that in the past. If we're on the way there, we're not there yet. And I'll tell you why do I think, what are the signs of winter? I'm going to chat about that. So this is the season. The season, as I said, expansion, spring, summer, or the peak, the hottest day, contraction, the fall, and winter is the trough. The goal is, when you're buying real estate or buying an investment in particular, is to build capital as soon as possible. Now people say, how can you time it? When do you know when the season is? If you listen to the right person, they will explain to you where we are at in the cycle and what you should do about it. And if you go back to our video that we've recorded, we tell you where we are at. The next thing I want to have a discussion around is every cycle that we just discussed, it usually takes, it's a shorter cycle going through spring, summer, fall, winter, or the expansion, peak, contraction, and winter. It's some years, sometimes it's 2 to 4 years, others between 8 to 10 years. Like this time around, it was an extended cycle. Why it was extended? The things were quite getting bad at the pandemic, and then they printed out a whole lot of money. And then what happened was they dropped the interest rate. So it extended the cycle. There's always a trough. There's never in the economy, we've skipped a season. You cannot skip a season. It's like if people tell you that we're not gonna have a trough, it's like somebody telling you this year, we're not gonna have winter. We're gonna jump straight to summer. That never happens. So they can extend it like they did, but when they extend it, the trough is worse than what would have been. Because the higher the gain, the lower the dip, the lower the trough. In 2010 was the trough, and now 2024, that's an extended one. How many years is that between 2010 and 2020? That's 14 years. So it's gone, whoa, we're due for a trough. We're due for winter. And this winter, as I predicted in the past, is going to be worse than the winters in the past I suggest. We've studied the last 7 major market declines. Every single one of them, they've got same signs. Same things were happening before the trough. Same thing was happening before it was the peak of the market. So we've got some suggestions around that as well. Now, I spoke about we cannot skip a season. You can never skip a season. You can extend it. Usually the extension is the next season is worse. The ideal thing is that let this winter be the trough whenever the trough comes, right? Rather than trying to extend it like printing money or dropping the interest rate. So it kind of like stimulates the economy, right? I compare that with having steroids. Like steroids, when you're working out, it may look good momentarily, but it's actually bad for your health, and it's got a whole lot of side effects. Exactly the same when you're printing a whole lot of money and dropping the interest rate to the low as it was. Please, if you're getting value from this video, subscribe to our channel below and click the notification button. You will get notified from every single week when we release our videos. And I hope so far it's been of value to you. So thumbs up if you're getting value from this video. Now, how to buy at the right time. When it was the peak, I was suggesting to people just sit off the market. Do not buy. And I was suggesting to our clients to sell. And some of our clients that took advice to sell, they're laughing. Just for an example, we sold a property for $2.175 million, beautiful house. We Smelton, okay? I've got a nice, perhaps as nice as that house, if not better. At the moment, we're marketing around 1.7. Look at the difference, right? So the people that sold the property down in West Melton at 2.175, they're very happy, they're laughing because, and to be honest, their clients were like, oh no, we're just gonna buy before we sell. And I said, no. I suggest sell now, off the market, buy later down the track. We sold their house, they did very, very well. Unfortunately, those clients went ahead and bought a property and then they ended up selling their house, they lost like $250,000 or something ridiculous on that amount. So the clients of ours that we told them don't buy in the peak done pretty well. The clients of ours that we suggested to sell in the peak and listen to us, they did pretty well. So that's our advice, and we always tell you the truth. And obviously the studies that we've done, so we make it easy for you guys, as we've spoken about in the past, is we predict you can prepare yourself and we can persevere and make an educated decision. I was reading an article, somebody who's got no idea about real estate, is traditional medias. The Christchurch house price is bullish. Those kind of things, yeah, get attention, but it's actually it's not the truth. How could you report something that's not the truth, right? And they've got no idea what real estate is doing. So listening to the right people will help you make the right decision, right? I've spoken about the time in the market rather than timing the market. Timing the market is, yes, it is difficult because everybody gives you their suggestion, right? You got to listen to the right people for sure, but then also you've got to avoid buying in the peak, because if you bought in the peak, you got to go through a dip for it to come back. So it will take you 10 years, even if you can hold on to the property through a dip, because most people freak out and they sell it and they lose a whole lot of money. If you go through a dip, it will take you a long time to recover and then get capital gains. So when people tell you trying to sell you real estate and they say, oh, it's just time in the market, you just hold on to it for long enough, it's because they're getting paid from you buying the property, right? They making the money. It's actually not you making the money. So what I say is like trying to avoid buying in the peak, listening to the right people, trying to buy when the market is at its lowest, which I'm going to discuss in a minute, when is a great time to buy, and then because it's going to recover rather than in 10-year cycle, you're doing the cycle in 4 years. I spoke about this before. It's like when you're investing in real estate, it's about making capital gain as soon as possible, because when you make a capital gain, then you can reinvest, buy the next house and the next house and the next house. That's how you can build wealth. So be careful when to buy. Obviously, you want to listen to me, what I say. You got to go to my past predictions and how did they come? Were they true or was a way off? And then do your own research, listen to our opposing suggestions as well, and then make your own decision. Don't buy into people's stuff, because obviously it's like, I compare this to like the pharmaceuticals, right? They want to sell you medicine. They don't want you to get well. They actually keep on want you to get, want you kind of like stay alive. They don't want to kill you because you're not going to buy their medicine, but they don't want to fix you, right? So when you're doing your research, you got to ask question everybody, and then make your own decision. Obviously, it's important to look at what people's past records are as well, right? And you're more than welcome to go watch our past predictions. We've been pretty spot on. It's not because I'm a genius. That's not why. It's because we've done a whole lot of studies and we haven't got no hidden agendas. We want our values lie where we can add value to you, because eventually we winning is a byproduct. If we can keep on telling you the truth so you can make the right decision, then together we can do well in long term. Now, the next point is predictions and the facts. So how did we predict? What was the signs of, let's say, the bubble? What was the signs there? And we said that in June 2021. We were not even at the peak yet. We feel like there's a whole lot of frenzy, and these are the 5 signs of a bubble. As I said, like in NAS contraction time, we've got the winter, the coldest, the trough with the coldest day to come. If you're thinking about selling, now would be a great time. And if you're thinking about buying and selling, so you ideally sell now and then purchase later down the track. Now, as real estate agents, you always like that thing people will say, like, just go and sell your property or buy property now. Well, the reality is you've got to do the best you can to time the things as good as you can. The 5 signs of a bubble at the time, once again, go back and watch our video that we did in 2021 June. The peak was between somewhere in September till March 2022. So September 2021 till March 2022. That was like the peak of the market. And why was the peak of the market? What were the signs of it? And what was first when people were too optimistic? They were like, the market is never gonna come back. We better buy me a house now. And everybody got amongst it, right? People were optimistic, like everybody wanted to buy a house. Everybody got amongst it. These Auckland buyers, Wellington buyers, and Invercargill buyers, everybody wanted to buy in Christchurch. And so did our Christchurch buyers. That was showing me it was the peak. Lack of paranoia. People didn't care. Like, people were not scared at all. People were not scared at all. They were like just buying houses. They're paying a whole lot of money. The same house was worth 800,000. They were paying 1.25 for it. It was just insanity. And then bubble was being controlled by the government, right? Printing of money, lower interest rate, right? So that was kind of controlled. You could tell that it was like, this is like having things injected, right? Which is not healthy. Like, it was being controlled by the government and the Reserve Bank. Lack of common sense. Like I said, people paying $1.25 million house without questioning anything, because they thought the interest rate would stay at 2.19%, right? We talk about the interest rate is going to be at 8 or 9%. It's just a matter of time. And guess what? Where it is now? Yesterday, I fixed that mortgage rate at 6.89%. At 6.89%, at 2.19%. If you ask people what's going to happen with interest rate, they would say, no way. It's going to be just like this. Cheap money, huh? And then unreasonable confidence. There was at the time, we were doing open homes, Nashi. It was so crazy that people would come up with an offer. They kind of give you the offer when you're in the back pocket. Take it out of their back pocket and give it to you. Never seen a market like that. So the confidence was going straight through the roof, right? And then the next thing I want to discuss is the 5 variables. That's how I predict what the future is gonna do. And this is like, if you know these 5 variables, sometimes I'm like, how the hell this economist got this thing wrong, right? And then I dig in, the economist was paid by BNZ and BNZ told him to say this, right? Or an economist is paid, that's paid by an investment firm, he predicts something that's like, that doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. So the way we predict, the way I predict, the way I study the market is these 5 variables, simple things, right? 5 variables. First one is increase in average sale price. What was the last year's average sale price? What's this year's average sale price, right? If it gone up by 15, 20, 30%, it's just crazy. That's just not sustainable. The average sale price, a healthy growth is between 2 to 4%. Why? Because affordability. If you're getting an increase in your salary, 1 to 2% a year, 1 to 3% max a year, and the property price going up by 15%, it's just a matter of time for the affordability, the price of the property to outstrip the affordability. The second thing is that I'm looking at inventory. How many properties coming to the market as opposed to the sale for the year. How many properties sold for the year, right? The next one is our interest rate fluctuation, the mortgage rate fluctuation. Where is that? At 2%, there's a boom, right? Everybody's buying. At 6%, 7%, 8%, the market is slowing down. And why are they slowing the market down? You know why they're slowing the market down, because the economy got out of kilter, right? And then the next one is affordability. What is affordability? Is inflation and unemployment rate. Inflation needs to be under 2%. Inflation means that, I've explained inflation before, so you can go back and watch our videos, see what actually inflation is. It's cost of what a basket of groceries cost you last year as opposed to this year, because if it costs you more, and under 2% is good, but if it went up by 10% or 6% or 8%, that's unhealthy growth. And then what happens is, when you know that trough is on its way, or the market is slowing down, is the listing increases. There's more listings. If you look at on Trade Me, they were saying that the numbers of listings increasing week by week. There's a whole lot on the market. And if the listings are increasing and the buyers are decreasing, you don't need to be genius to figure out what the market is going to do, right? So increase in inventory and buyers are coming off the market because interest rate is so high, and that's intentionally been done by the government and the Reserve Bank to slow the market down. So hence we're talking about the trough is on its way. Development being released, like these whole lot of developments, particularly in Christchurch, we are full of development. There's developments everywhere. You go everywhere, there's developments. And developments, these guys, the developers, have acquired these land 2, 3, 4 years ago, and those developments takes time, 2, 3, 4 years, right, for it to develop. And by the time they release it, the heat has gone off the market, and there's a whole lot of properties and less buyers, right? We've spoken about the variable, right? Number of properties sold, number of properties on the market. And then Phillips curve, I think you should familiarize yourself. We will write down, we'll put a link again for the Phillips curve. We've spoken about this in the past. When inflation is high, unemployment low, right? Remember, inflation was high when the market was booming, unemployment low because people were hiring people. And on the other hand, when inflation is low, as you get it under control, the market gets tougher, right? Unemployment increases. And if you look around, you don't need to look far to see that people are laying people off at the moment. So as they get inflation under control, there's going to be more unemployment, higher unemployment rate, which off the back of unemployment rate, there's going to be mortgage sales. There's going to be a whole lot of ugly things off the back of that when it comes to the economy. And we talked about interest rate before, the impact interest rate has when it comes to affordability. So interest rate at 2.19%, you can afford a $500,000 house, and if you bought a $500,000 house at 2.19%, it's $1,848 your repayment, monthly repayment, okay? At 6%, the affordability drops down to $310,000. So if you bought a house at $310,000, your monthly payment will be $1,859. So do you see the drop, like how much the market needs to come back for people to afford the same house? So the numbers of your price of the property has to come back because the affordability has come back so much, right? And then the next point I want to point out is why do we think trough is on its way? It's around the corner. I see this before, probably last quarter of 2024, early 2025 will be kind of in recovery. The market will recalibrate. And when the market recalibrates, the market doesn't bounce back like this overnight. It takes time for it to recover to 2 to 4% back to the healthy growth as we spoke about in the past. So why do I say trough is on its way? Is because buyers are very cautious. There's not that many buyers out there. When you're doing open homes, yes, there's these buyers out there, but there's not that many buyers, okay? And when we find a buyer as real estate agents, now it's like, okay, what can we sell you kind of thing, right? Second thing, gaps between what the vendor's expectation is, because the houses were selling for a lot of money, right? And what buyers are, because buyers are cautious, they're not paying the big money anymore. They're paying way less than the market within the value that the property was selling for 6, 12, 18 months, 2 years ago, right? So there's a big gap between sellers' expectation and vendors. And I've spoken about that well before the peak, about why there's going to be a gap when the market cools down. There's going to be a gap between the buyers and sellers. Next thing is number 3 is increase in listings, inventory. We spoke about that. Developers, they're releasing property. A lot of developers can't hold on to the properties anymore. They're selling it, just giving it away kind of, or it hasn't come back to giving it away yet, but it's just a matter of time. If they haven't got it sold, they haven't released it, they haven't sold the land, the property, the development, then what do we have to do? Because the bank's going to come after them, they will give the property, sell the property for a lot less than probably what it cost them, because it's better to make a little bit of loss than going bankrupt, right? Next thing is cuts in spending by the government. We've seen that. We saw that up north. The trail track. They put a stop on that. It was about $1.5 billion, something around that economy. That was how much they were going to spend on it. The ferry, Picton to Wellington ferry, they put a stop on that. That's another $1.5 billion. Those jobs somebody was going to do those jobs, right? So if that comes off the economy, those people, what's going to happen to those people who are going to do those jobs, right? They're going to lose their job, right? Meaning that unemployment is going to increase, right? And those people got families to feed, they've got houses, the mortgages to pay. Next thing is lowering of inflation. They've been working hard on lowering inflation. We've spoken about Phillips curve, so I don't need to cover that again. So they're trying to get the inflation under control. To get the inflation under control, is they're increasing the interest rate as they've been doing it, and also they bring restrictions and making it harder. The DTI, the debt to income ratio, right? That's the reason they brought that. Then the last thing is competition within businesses. You see the businesses everywhere now. You look at the banks, they want to give you a discount. I did a mortgage yesterday. I fixed a mortgage yesterday. They give me $2,500. They're going to give me just to stay with the NZ. So the banks are actually giving you money to stay with them. That was never the case. They were like, okay, who cares? I'll go 5 other people that I can loan money to, right? Now they're actually fighting for business. The developers, they're dropping the prices. People who are not in general in business, everywhere you go, you got to look at the Briscoes. Briscoes always have sales, but you look at the furniture shop, they all have sales because the economy has shrunk. And then Warren Buffett has got this brilliant quote.
You want to be greedy when others are fearful, and you want to be fearful when others are greedy. It's that simple.
And this guy here, he knows a thing or two, right? The guy's worth billions and billions of dollars. He's one of the wisest investors there ever was. He said, be scared when people are greedy in the peak. I've recited that quote before. In the peak, I said this. When people are greedy, be scared. Come off the market. When people are scared, be greedy. So I'm suggesting in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months to 12 months, people are going to be scared. There's going to be a whole lot of chaos, and that's when you want to buy. So I hope that's been of help to you. If this added value to you, please like and subscribe to our channel so you can get these videos sent to you right away as soon as we record them. Thank you very much, and I hope that's been of help to you.